This is the best SUV that nobody will buy in Australia. And that's a shame, because this is the Citroen C5 Aircross Sport, the updated version of this French comfort and practicality focused mid-sized SUV, which deserves many more buyers than it actually gets. I'm going to tell you why in this review. I hope you're enjoying what you're seeing. Please, if you haven't already, do hit like and subscribe, and thanks for watching. When you see the price of this SUV, you think to yourself, that's expensive. And it is, compared to the mainstream rivals like a Mazda CX-5 or Toyota RAV4 or Kia Sportage or a Hyundai Tucson. All of those models will come in at a lower price point when you're looking at the petrol versions at least. And if you're paying this kind of money, 55 grand or thereabouts, then you're getting either a hybrid with all-wheel drive or diesel with all-wheel drive. So you are going to want to think about that and decide whether the powertrain is right for you in this instance, because otherwise it hits the mark when it comes to standard equipment, including LED lighting all around the car, front and back. You've also got an exterior black pack, so you've got a black roof rails. There's also a panoramic sunroof as well, 19-inch black alloy wheels, and it really does look the part. On the inside, it also does. It's got a black Napa leather interior trim with some blue elements to it as well. Plus, the driver's seat is electrically adjustable and both front seats are heated. Plus, the driver gets a 12-inch digital instrument display, and there's a 10-inch touchscreen media system with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, dual zone climate control, and a bunch of other nice stuff too. So yeah, it hits the spot when it comes to the gear, just maybe not on the price. It'd be easy to say that any of the mainstream rivals would be a great alternative to the Citroen C5 Aircross, but look, if you're considering buying a Citroen, you're not mainstream. So let's cover off some of the rivals that you might want to consider. The Peugeot 3008 is the first one. It's available just like this in front-wheel drive with petrol turbo power, and it's a 5-seater, but it's also got the choice of a plug-in hybrid powertrain. So it might be right for you if you're trying to do your bit for the environment, although it is a fair bit more expensive if you choose that powertrain. Another Citroen you might want to check out is the Citroen C5 X. Now, don't confuse the two. This one is the Aircross, that one's the X. It's a crossover style wagon, turbo petrol again, front wheel drive again. So it's not necessarily going to appeal to a Subaru Outback buyer, but then again, it's a very different type of car. Polarizing appearance? You tell me in the comments section. This car looks bigger than it actually is. It's only 4.5 meters long, which in mid-size SUV terms is actually pretty compact, but it's pretty tall. So it's just under 1.7 meters high, which makes it one of the taller mid-sized SUVs. Look, it's got some interesting styling elements. These down here are called air bumps, and they're designed to stop things from damaging the bodywork if maybe you get a trolley into the bottom of the door or something like that. You know those Bunnings trolleys with the really sharp edges at the bottom? This could be the best Bunnings car ever. But what about the boot? Let's have a look. Now, I mentioned Bunnings, but if you frequent IKEA as well, then it's still going to be a good size boot for you, because it's 580 litres of cargo capacity in here, which makes it a very, very big boot for a smallish SUV. Now, the floor can be lowered to allow extra space, but you need it in the highest position if you want to have a flat load through onto those seat backs when you fold them down. Now, there is a space saver spare wheel under the floor as well. I think it's one of the most practical boots of an SUV of this size. Good one, Citroen. As soon as you sit in a Citroen C5 Aircross, you feel like you've sat in a comfy lounge chair. That's how good these seats are. They are super duper cushy, foamy and comfy, but still supportive. And if you are after a car that has really comfortable seats, maybe you do a lot of long distance driving, this could be the right car for you. These seats, as I mentioned, Napa leather trim. They've also got heating for the front seats. The driver's seat has a massage function. Sorry, passenger. And also make this comfortable space feel even more comfortable. So it is also high tech. There's a 12-inch screen for the driver, a 10-inch screen up here for your media controls and fan controls. Now you've got Apple CarPlay in the middle, and then on the sides you've got your fan control system. I don't love that you have to do so much through the screen with the fan and air conditioning stuff, but there are buttons below, thankfully, to make things just a little bit easier to deal with. There's a knob for your volume control, there's a recirc button, so a lot of those little niggles that I really don't like, they've been addressed in this car. Now, in terms of storage, you've got a fair bit on offer. So you've got decent sized cup holders, which is nice for a French car. A big storage cubby here, which you could probably put your phone, wallet, and that sort of things. Or you could put your phone in here with the wireless phone charger. A couple of USB ports there. You've got a storage cubby in here with a little tray inside it. And that actually goes quite deep in underneath the cup holders too. So you can put a whole lot of stuff in there. If you're the sort of parent who likes to have treats for their kids on the road trip, that's your hidey hole. Now you've also got a smallish glove box. That's a bit of a French car trait, but you've got big door pockets with bottle holders in them too. This panoramic roof makes it feel a bit more, well, upmarket and luxe. And so does the fact that it's got a light headliner. I mean, Citroen could have easily done the dark headliner thing and made it feel a little bit darker in here, but I think it has this really nice vibe. Sure, the materials aren't all of the highest standard and quality. Like this bit up here, that's a softish plastic. That's hard plastic, and it's not very nice on your elbow, but all in all, I am pretty impressed with the front seat experience. So let's check out the back. This could be the bit where you think, well, actually that car's not for me, because the back seat space is a little bit tight. This seat is set for me at 182 centimeters or 6 foot tall, and my knees are brushing up against the hard plastic backing on the seat. My toes are pretty tight under there. Headroom's not fantastic. Yeah, it's not the greatest space. However, if you do have smaller occupants, maybe your family is just of a smaller stature, then it might be right for you, because these seats also slide forwards and backwards. So you can adjust each of the 3 seats individually to make the space however you need it to be. Also, they recline, so you can do this, you can fold that one down completely, or you can have it set so it's at a different recline to the other seats or whatever you need. So it is fairly customizable in that regard, but it's not the most practical space if you've got bigger occupants back here. One thing that I will say, I'm calling out my own wide-hipped nature. These seat belts do actually dig in to your legs a little bit if you're a little bit plumper on the back end. So just keep that in mind. All right, so there are child seat anchor points, as you would expect. ISOFIX in the window seats, 3 top tethers as well. So that's good to know. You've got directional air vents as well, like you would expect. There's a USB port underneath there as well. There's mat pockets, which are those mesh ones. And like I said, those hard-backed plastic kick plates. So little kids, because they will be a lot closer to the seats in front, can kick away to their heart's content. And you've got bottle holders in the doors as well. No flip down center armrest or cup holders, because like I showed you, that seat just folds down completely. So yeah, it's okay, but it's not the best. The updated version of this SUV scores a power bump, about 10% compared to the last model, even though it's still running a 1.6 litre 4-cylinder turbo petrol. But Citroen says it's the most powerful turbo petrol it's offered in Australia before. So it is living up to that sport name a little bit, at least. And it scores an 8-speed automatic transmission as well. The previous version had a 6-speed auto. It's front-wheel drive, there is no all-wheel drive option. And in Australia, we don't get the plug-in hybrid version either, which they do get in Europe. I mentioned how comfortable these seats are, but the ride, well, it's also excellent when it comes to comfort. Now, I do wonder how much of it comes down to the cushiness of the seat as opposed to the suspension, but it does have some tricky Citroen suspension underneath that makes it just coast and not really feel like it's flustered when it comes to bumps. Yeah, look, it isn't the most controlled ride, so if you are after something that's kind of stiff riding and feels a bit more connected, then it's not going to be the right car for you. But if you are after a vehicle that's about comfort and about making for easy driving and just easy livability, yeah, this ticks the box. It is so lovely. It's called Advanced Comfort Suspension with progressive hydraulic cushions. Basically what it means is that it's designed with progressive dampers, so they will basically adjust to how much bumpiness the road is throwing at the wheel. And look, progressive hydraulic, all that stuff out the window, it doesn't matter. This is just a really, really comfy ride. And yeah, I love it for that. The steering's also really good. It's quite light and easy when you are just moving around town, or if you're dealing with tight streets or whatever it may be. It's, yeah, very easy, very predictable in terms of the way that the steering reacts. And it's nice and direct too. So when you turn the corner, you don't need to turn too much, it just goes. So I've just come up to an imaginary stop sign and I'm just pushing on the throttle. And there's heaps of grunt, like it's enough. That was only half throttle as well, so it's going to get the job done for most people in most situations. But if you're going to fill up all 5 seats and have the boot full all the time, I think you might find the limits of the athleticism of this engine. There are also a few different drive modes that you can choose. So if you put it into Eco, it instantly dulls the throttle response and will affect the gearing as well. There's also a normal mode and a sport mode, and I mean, yeah, okay. I was gonna say I don't think you need sport mode, but that's actually pretty peppy. That's one thing about French cars, they tend to be quite light, and so it does feel relatively zippy, yeah. And the 8-speed auto is a little bit busy. It won't rely on the engine's torque all that much. It will sort of change gears a little bit more regularly than you probably think it should, especially at lower speeds. I've had a few instances where it's been shifting back to first gear for no reason at all. It should just stay in second. This is a very likable and livable medium-sized SUV. And like I said, it's a shame more people aren't looking at it as an alternative. The official combined cycle fuel consumption figure for the C5 Aircross is 5.7 litres per 100 Ks, which for a turbocharged petrol SUV at this sort of price point isn't too bad at all. Look, obviously it's not down near hybrid levels, but it is sort of what you'd expect from diesel SUVs. So yeah, if you can achieve it, you'll be doing well. If you're wondering what I've seen across a mix of driving over a week with this car, you'll see that on your screen now. Yeah, not quite 5.7, but I was okay with that. The Citroen C5 Aircross has a 4-star ANCAP safety rating from 2019, so it's not the safest family SUV out there, and if that matters to you, that could be a deal breaker. However, it does still come with a bunch of standard active safety technology, including autonomous emergency braking with pedestrian detection. There's also lane departure warning and adaptive cruise control with stop and go function, plus speed sign recognition as well. So it's missing out on some stuff like cyclist detection and junction detection and rear AEB, those sorts of things. And if that matters to you, I can totally understand why you wouldn't consider this SUV. However, it also comes with 6 airbags, there's dual front, side and full length curtain coverage. Sticking with the 5 theme for the C5 Aircross, there's 5 years unlimited kilometre warranty. There's also 5 years of roadside assist and a 5-year capped price servicing plan. Now, interestingly, the Citroen requires its services every 12 months or 20,000 kilometres, which is very generous. And you can choose between either paying as you go for your servicing, you'll see the average cost over that 5 years on your screen now, or if you wish, you can choose a 3-year or 5-year cap price service plan, but you prepay it and it makes it a lot cheaper, as you'll see on your screen now. So I think I'd choose the prepay version. This SUV is not like many others out there. It's so focused on comfort and practicality. It's very different to the mainstream options out there, but it's also very, very niche, and I can understand why you wouldn't buy this SUV if you were in the market for something like this. However, if you do want comfort and practicality and you're willing to roll the dice and try something different, you should definitely take this thing for a test drive. I think it's a very impressive compact to mid-size SUV. Tell me what you think in the comments section below. Would you consider a Citroen? If not, why not? Hit me up and I'll see you in the next review.